What? Doc outer. You'll get it. It's a document camera. Does that make sense now? Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming today. I'm really glad you're here. Let's just take a moment, feet flat on the floor, and becoming aware of where you are, aware of this room, aware of the people nearby you. Become aware of what's happening in your own world, your internal world. What's happening inside your heart, inside your gut, inside your mind. Understanding that those are all connected with some cool equipment inside of you, that vagus nerve running through all of those systems, helping us to calm us, helping, us, ourselves, to calm ourselves. Understanding that this is a tool that you can use when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling riled up, when you're feeling uncertain about something. A few deep breaths, closing your eyes, focusing on your internal world, and coming into your full being, which is a pretty cool experience, pretty cool, pretty important capability that we all have. So remember that you can do this at any moment. You can do it at any moment. So today, we are continuing where we left off on Monday, and our conversation that day specifically was about speciesism. So we were talking about speciesism, the idea that because non-human animals are not human, their interest in their lives matters less than our interest in our lives. Thinking about our ego and how that affects, as we move through the world, the other beings that are out there and what they're experiencing in their lives. So this is where we left off. The outcome that I'm hoping, that I'm planning, that has shown to work is, as we've moved through these concepts of opening possibility to other beings, is that I'm calling for uncommon decency. It's a respect that comes from awareness. So this quote comes from Kathy Burnham Martin's book titled Encouragement: How to Be and Find the Best. The book delivers very useful lessons throughout, vital tools for living what she says are happier lives. The idea that our connections can bring this kind of vitality, this fullness to our life. So if we can expand our respect, our appreciation for other beings, then we are enriching our own lives. There's still a piece of ego in that, but what happens is that it filters down, and that respect for other beings helps us to make choices related to that. And that's where we're moving through over the course of the next few weeks of this class. So as we are more respectful, that's true for plant and animal species, for our surroundings, true for other people, and then also true for how we see ourselves. How can we respect and understand through awareness who we are and how we move through the world? So today we're going to talk specifically about kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda. We're going to talk specifically about insects. Insects. This is one page out of one book of insects. So we're going to be attentive to all sorts of things related to insects today. Insects, arthropods are often cast out. Some of you mentioned them the other day, that it's very hard to connect. It's that we just don't quite understand their lives, and yet they are the largest phylum in the animal kingdom. Arthropods also includes lobsters, crabs, spiders, mites, centipedes, millipedes. So lots of different beings in this. About 84% of all known species are animals in this phylum, this group. In the world, 900,000 different kinds of insects. Insects are the thing that we experience most in that list of arthropods. So that's why we're going to focus on those today. So arthropods, insects, as you look up here, you can see that each of them have three body segments. They have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. So we're going to take this largest one. Okay, there's its head and its thorax. That's where the lungs are, or breathing apparatus. And then abdomen is the digestion. So three parts. They have an exoskeleton, so they're hard on the outside and squishy on the inside. They are cold-blooded, right? They get their heat from their environment. So whatever the temperature is outside, that's what temperature they are. That's why on days like today, I did see a fly as I was walking over. It's warm enough for some insects to be out, but not a lot right now. So that's why they're so much more plentiful over the course of the spring, summer, and fall, is because the weather is more conducive to their living. So these are just some of those insects of the 900,000 species. I'd like you to take a close look and kind of get curious, right? Expand your questioning. What up there sparks your curiosity? What makes you wonder about? Take time to jot down 2 questions there in your journal that you come up with related to what you see in this image. Morgan, would you turn the lights down just 1 notch? I think it will show up just a little better. Thank you. Just get curious. Open your childlike wonder. We all have that capacity of digging deep and finding our 6-year-old selves. If you found one of these insects on the sidewalk, what would you wonder about it? Or maybe it's the whole group of them. What makes you curious about the whole group of them? When you have a couple questions written down, talk to your neighbor, compare your questions, point out which ones you were looking at. there anybody who would like to share a question? I am not an insect expert. I just think the questions are interesting. What are you curious about? These- They're coming.
My question was, how have the insects evolved through time?
How have they evolved over time? How have they changed? That's a
Mhm.
cool question. Does anybody know about any insect history? I know like one cool fact about that, but does anybody else know anything about that that could help to answer their question? I know that dragonflies used to be like 3 feet across, right? Yeah, crazy. So they have dramatically changed over time. Yes.
I was wondering why some have wings and some don't.
Some have wings and some don't. That's a good question. Yeah, thank you. And it would be interesting to dive into that and figure out just that goes into that umwelt, right? So understanding a little bit more about their lives, how they move through the world and why they don't. Some of them, the males have wings and the females don't. But then some of them, the males have wings. We're going to learn about one where the males have wings, but they don't use them. So there are a lot of different ways of being among insects. Any other questions, curiosities? Okay. Sorry, they saw that one first. It's okay. It's all good.
I could be wrong, but isn't it like cicadas or something that come back like every 17 years or something? I always just thought that was like so strange and like how that pattern just like continuously happens. Like how do they know to come back and why is it like such a long period of time and everything?
Yeah, we just had it happen at Shavers Creek last year. It was the 17-year cicadas. And so they like got laid as eggs and then spent time underground and then just emerged. All these little holes in the ground where these things, I've been walking over them for 17 years and all of a sudden they come up, right? They're also 1 year, 2 year, 3 year cicadas, different cycles. Yeah. One more curious question.
My question is, I work outside a lot and I always get gnats in my face. I just want to know why gnats like to be in my face all the time for no reason.
Right. There must be a reason, right? I think it has to do with moisture. They're going for the moisture of your eyes, the moisture of your nose, which is really unpleasant. Yes, absolutely. They also go to the highest place. And so if you put your hand up, often gnats will then go up, but there's not moisture. So I don't, it's a great question. So there's all of this curiosity. So when you're out in the natural world, and this is a great time to start this, is that there are these apps that can help you identify things. And it can be things like insects or things like plants. It could also be animals. It can be flowers. It can be all kinds of different things. So iNaturalist is the parent company, and then they have this app called Seek. And you can now, with the world of 5.8 billion people worldwide are active mobile phone users, 70 to 80% of the world's population. And so this app actually informs research projects. So if I go to a place that I'm unfamiliar with and I find an insect, a butterfly that's really beautiful and cool, I identify it in my app, and then that sighting of my butterfly goes to be part of research someplace else. And those researchers can say, oh, this is the range of that butterfly because iNaturalist users are seeing it here and here and here and here. We identify what the range of that insect, that butterfly is. And so it's a way to get connected with a community of curious people. You can get these apps and it's a useful way to engage with your phone, right? You can do this. The conversation is not expert driven, it's community driven. And so this is a tool that can help to actually make a difference in the world by informing policies and procedures as well as research. So lots of different possibilities for connection this way. There is a short video. Yeah, about this. So that just says a little bit more. Oh, if you didn't load it, that's okay. Okay. Never mind. All good. We were doing other things. Yeah. So this is what we're going to get curious about right now. So I'm going to come over here by Scout, and we're going to explore this dubia roach a little bit. So here she is in the container. Those are her poops, by the way. So here she is, hanging out. All right, so this is a dubia roach. You may have heard of Madagascar hissing cockroaches. They are a more commonly used teaching tool. But today we are working with these dubia roaches. Their scientific name is Blactica dubia. And they are found by nature, they are found in Central and South America. This is a female. They are non-flighted. So the males do have wings that they don't use. So you can actually see little parts right here. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Where she has wings, but they're so small that she can't use them. So this is a female. You can see the little parts of her legs. You can watch her antenna moving. Her head is there underneath her exoskeleton, poking out where her antennas are, the black half circle part. So she is just sensing the world around her. They are omnivores, so they will eat decaying everything, all kinds of decaying things, mostly leaves and fruit. And because they are non-flighted, because they don't have any kind of harm to us, this is a really fun opportunity as a teaching tool that I can show her to you this close up. So you can see her three parts. She has the head, the thorax, and the abdomen, and then the wings on top. Those are all the parts. Oh, the exoskeleton, nice and shiny, colorful. And so she is, yeah, pretty darn cool. There's something cool about these roaches is that when they have their eggs, they actually keep their eggs inside their bodies. And when they are able to, or when it's time for the eggs to hatch, then they actually look like they're having live babies because the babies come right out of their bodies. But they're insects, so we know that they have to have eggs. Okay, so what questions do you have about her, about this dubia roach? Anything you're curious about? Yeah, go ahead. Are they harmless? In this case, they are harmless to me, right? I guess if you were a rotting mango in South America, then they're not so harmless, right? They are great decomposers. They're in that family of decomposers, like we talked about worms the other day, that are really important for our planet. So they are harmless. They also are sometimes food for other things that would come crunching them. So they are part of different food chains as well. Harmless to us, for sure. Any other questions? Do they have mandibles? They do. They have little chewing parts that are down under. They keep their heads, of course, their heads are vital to their being, right? So they keep their heads tucked right down underneath. And so I don't know that I can show that to you, but they do have chewing mandibles that would help them to chomp up whatever it is they're consuming. I don't know if you can see there's some little tiny feelers like close to her mouth that are there on my hand as well. See them moving around? They're kind of tiny and tan, and they jut out every now and then. Yeah, there they are. Yeah. Other questions? Yeah.
They don't even survive in this climate.
They would not survive in the wild here. So this dubia cockroach lives at Shavers Creek, where we have a colony of them so that we can teach all ages of people with them. And then also sometimes they are food for our turtles as well. Any other? Oh, back in the back. What's your question? Probably not. No. I think that she seems pretty in tune and aware of my skin, right? I don't think that she has any idea that, well, first, she's in this bright light. She's in the spotlight right now. So there isn't any way for her to know. But I think that they have some sense of how we feel, right? I'm not nervous right now. I'm not anxious. And so I think that helps her to be more calm. Right. With her head sticking out that far, I think that she's just kind of exploring and pretty chill right at the moment. Can you advance the slide for me? So when I was talking about, oh no, you should be able to leave that on, but right. Yes. So when I was talking about the live birth, we have a photo of that, or what appears to be live birth. Sorry, it'll take the screen just a second to come back on. And then I'll put this one away and we'll move on to what's next. Okay. So there they are. They're the babies as they're coming out of their mama. They have between 12 and 35 young in one brood like this. And they live for about 1.5 to 2 years, sometimes a little longer in captivity, because they are being given their food. They have a different kind of life in captivity. So these little ones will live at least 2 years, generally speaking. Here they are. I lost my clicker. There it is. Thank you. Here they are after a few hours. They start moving around more. And then they come out white like this because they have to be soft to be birthed. And then their shells get harder over just the course of a few hours. So there are a whole bunch of little cockroaches. These critters are living in the wild. This would be happening. There are these mites. This is the body of the cockroach, right? This is extraordinarily magnified. And inside the crevices, like under the legs and under the shell, live these little mites. So it's an arthropod living on an arthropod. And these mites help the cockroaches to stay very clean. They clean up, if they're going to be walking around in all of that mushy fruit and stuff, then they need to have these little cleaners to help clean that stuff up and keep their bodies healthy. So this is interesting, right? That there are beings, like we talked about the other day. No one living being is a single being. Even these roaches have these beings that live on them. And it is not too unlike the fact, you can turn on that side screen or turn off the document camera if you would. It's not too unlike what we have actually helping us. These are eyelashes here. And if you look at the base right here, they're like these little things sticking up. These are also arthropods. These are mites that live in our eyelashes. Yes, right this moment, most of us, in fact, have them in this room right now. And they're there to keep our eyes healthy. If you think about our evolutionary history, how important eyesight is for us to have been hunter-gatherers, to be moving through the world, staying away from predators. It's important to have healthy eyesight. And so that is why we have them, right? This is a magnified photo of them. And when we get the screen back, we'll be able to see them up close. They are called demodex mites, and they're their closest relatives are spiders and ticks. And they might be eating like dead skin around there. They could be helping clean and keep our follicles healthy. And so it's good to know that you have these mites living there, but it's also might be comforting to know that they don't poop, right? They just actually die and then they get flaked out, and then the new ones are born. They are laid as eggs in our eyelashes, and then they are hatched and they help us out. So this is the magnified image of those demodex mites. And what they look like. Aren't they funky? Can you imagine? Yeah. So it's cool to think that we have something in common with those roaches. We all have other beings living in us, on us, and around us. So with our topic being insects today, insects being the most biodiverse scientific group on the planet, they are the living beings that run the world in a lot of ways. And so what I mean by that is that without insects, a lot of the pollination would not happen. Without insect pollination, many food plants that we grow wouldn't actually be able to survive. They would not complete the pollination process without insects. So there are some bats and some birds and some land mammals that help with these things, but really insects are play the major role. So when we hear about bees being such an important species on the planet and that bees are in a threatened state right now, that's why people are concerned about bees, because they help us to get a lot of the food products. So we also know that these insects under the ground, they aerate the soil and help plants to grow. Aeration is the naturally occurring process of air exchange between the soil and the surrounding atmosphere. So with all these insects tunneling under the dirt, under the ground, it's making pathways for air to get in there. That reduces soil compaction and allows plants to grow their roots more healthfully. So that helps. Insects are doing that on our planet as well. They're also decomposing things, right? We remember I talked about Henry and how excited he was the flies showed up to eat his poop, right? They are decomposing all kinds of things here. Insects called saprophages. That means sapros, meaning rotten, and phagian, the verb that means to eat or devour. Insects adapted to this lifestyle are an important part of the biosphere because they help recycle that dead organic matter. And then they poop, right? They eat and they poop, and those nutrients go back to the planet. The nutrient cycle. This is a katydid, by the way. And then they themselves, they also send their nutrients back to the planet. The monarchs that are in torpor right now in Mexico, waiting to make their way back here, some of them won't survive. They won't make it. And so their bodies fall, they decompose, and they go back to Earth. Lots of nutrients with how many insects there are on the planet. And then they're a food source for lots of different beings. This is a merlin, a super cool kind of falcon. And in migration, it happens to be that merlins and dragonflies migrate south in September at the same time. So the merlins get these to-go snacks, and they'll catch the dragonflies in the air, chomp on them, and then continue their flight. It's also true that they are food for people. Entomophagy is people eating insects. This happens, it could be with the eggs, with the larva, with the pupa, and adults of certain insects might be food But for humans, this has happened since prehistoric times to the present day, right? 3,000 ethnic groups practice entomophagy. So 3,000 ethnic groups around the world, Central and South America, Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand. And yet, in some societies, eating insects has become taboo or is at least uncommon. So this is becoming more popular, as I understand it, in the United States and in Europe. And it's true that this is a good source of protein while being lighter on the planet. So I have to say, with all of the things that I believe environmentally, as far as how livestock does degrade the land that they live on, that this would be a much better way. And I also have to admit that I struggle with this. My kids brought home from the Great Insect Fair a little trail mix for me of mealworms and other things, and I really struggled with the idea of eating them. But it's something I'm working on shifting. I'm unlearning and working on this. So, how does this all sit with you? How have you been conditioned to think about insects? Have you been conditioned to not like them or even hate them or even smush them, right? A lot of these beliefs come from our role models, people before us that have shown us one way or the other of living. So if my mom at home took time to like take those spiders that were caught in the house and take them outside again, then I may have learned one thing. Or if, she screamed and ran into the other room, I may have learned another thing. Or if she like stomped on it, then I may have learned something else. So take a moment and reflect on your thoughts, your beliefs, your relationship with insects, and talk to your neighbor about it. So here's this fella. You might recognize him, the Dalai Lama, a transcendent teacher, the Buddhist spiritual leader of the Tibetan people. And yet, a lot of people in a lot of different walks of life and many faith traditions believe what he has to say because he promotes some basic human values or secular ethics that are in the interest of human happiness. So, a group of people, a group of adults, grown-ups, teachers, actually went to talk to the Dalai Lama, and their question for him was, what is the most important thing that we should teach the children? What is the most important thing that we should teach the children? And reportedly, his answer was, teach them to love the insects. Why would that be the Dalai Lama's answer?
I think if you can learn to love the things that are even insignificant to you, like don't really matter to you, you can learn to love everything.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Any other ideas? So if we can learn to learn to love something so different from ourselves, something that might be so insignificant or feels insignificant in our lives, then we might be able to expand our love, expand our capacity for openness to other beings, other things, other ways of understanding home. Might help us to understand that actually we too are part of the natural world. So think about when you were last, before this class today, when you last thought about or were curious about insects. We're going to offer you an opportunity to engage with the dubia cockroach. When you're doing this, please be attentive, avoid sudden movements, speak softly, be respectful. Don't force anyone to hold or to touch the cockroach. Be respectful of yourself, of others. Open your mind, open your curiosity, and just be. And so each of your TAs has a dubia to spend time with. Okay, go. Bye. take just a moment and wrap up. Make sure everyone who's had an opportunity. If you didn't get an opportunity and you want one, you can stop up after class. Autumn, do you still have the microphone? My phone's ringing. So who can tell a story of something that happened for you or didn't happen for you? Or what was that like? Autumn, do you still have the microphone? Thanks.
So yesterday I was kind of scared when we were practicing with them in our TA meeting, but I had a different one and I brought her home and I was like, okay, well, I'll feed her an apple like you said. And I woke up this morning and there were about 15 to 20 more than in the container than I originally came home with in my room. And my roommate woke me up, like we were both freaking out, but then I was like, I don't know. I kind of just like sat with her all day until like 2:30. Um, and eventually like I just got really used to the idea of um a bunch of cockroaches living in my room with me until now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you pass that over? Thank you.
I used to buy dubia roaches bi-weekly from PetSmart to feed to my pet frog I used to have, so it was a pretty familiar thing. I had never seen them this big, but I used to take care of these little guys, so it's kind of cool to see one this large.
Sweet. Thanks. Nice. Thanks. What else? Oh, there's a story up here. Oh, story back there.
So yesterday during the meeting, I was really scared to hold it and I didn't. And even coming in today, I wasn't going to. But then one of my students said I had to set the tone. So I did and I held it and it was like a little stressful at first, but then I was like, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. So
Right. Did you make any observations about yourself or about the cockroach?
Um, well, yesterday she like wasn't really moving at all, and then today she was like running all over the place. And I noticed that like when she started like running up my arm a little bit, I would get like really stressed out. But when she was like just like in my hands, I felt a lot better.
Right. So circumstance and breathing and understanding. Thank you, Sarah. Beautiful. Somebody over here. One more story.
On the run. Who is it? It peed on me.
And then what?
I didn't want it in my hand anymore.
And then what?
I gave it back.
Yeah. And then what?
I'm never touching one again.
And then what? Why?
That's the end of the
Why
story.
would it have peed? Why would it have peed on you?
Maybe it could tell I didn't really want it.
It could be that it sensed something, right, that made it afraid. Because peeing is a defense. How many of you have picked up a frog or a toad and instantly it pees on you? that pee tastes bad and repels predators. And so it's a reaction of fear, right? So also there, you can go wash your hands, right? So yes. Any other experiences to share? One up in the back there, Autumn. Thank you.
Okay.
At first I was pretty apprehensive because I heard about it, like we were gonna be doing it, and then when it came time to do it, I kind of was like, why not? And I think like having like a memory of when I had held a tarantula in the past, when I was like much younger, it was at a museum anyways. I think like it kind of gave me something to reminisce on. So yeah, it was nice.
Yes. So what if, I'll leave you with this question, what if our role on this planet, right? We aren't necessarily there are lots of decomposers, there are lots of predators, and what if our job on this planet is to observe and to appreciate? Thank you very much. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you. Yep. Yay.